Hi, I'm Larry Dillon. I'm the CEO of the Wendover Corporation, and you're at the Scalable Insights Podcast. Today we have with us Jeff, the producer. Jeff, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Today, I'm thrilled to have Ryan Clark with us. Ryan, how are you?
You should be thrilled. Pleasure's all yours.
I'm so glad that you got to meet me. Listen, that's funny. So Ryan, tell us your story. Tell us, who you are, where you're from, and your arc of your business life.
Yeah. So, raised in a pretty traditional family outside of Boston. Moved down to the Philadelphia area. When I got out of college, I was always envious of those guys in college that knew their major, their freshman, sophomore year. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. That caused me a lot of consternation. So I didn't have any specific skill, but I knew I could sell. I knew I could outwork people. So as soon as I got out of college, just got really right into the sales world, started in before I got into the staffing, I started in the pharmaceutical sales. I did that for about 6 or 7 years. Found that wasn't as gratifying because I needed something that was the proverbial sign on the dotted line. You either got the sale or you didn't.
Right.
And that's not the case in pharmaceuticals. So I got into staffing, and I worked for a publicly traded staffing company. And what I found out is I was a great corporate employee until I wasn't. And then things went bad. I ran my mouth a little bit too much.
You ran your mouth a little too much?
Occasionally. When I saw a wrong, of course, everybody justifies. I was Robin Hood. I was just trying to right a wrong, But so anyway, I wasn't long for this world with the big publicly traded company and bureaucracy but I worked wicked good with my partner, my current partner. We met at this publicly traded staffing company, and then just thought, hey, it's like any entrepreneur. Say the traditional story is, you're working for a big company, a pizza shop. You're working for a Domino's or a pizza slut, and then you just say, hey, I can do this better on my own, and that's what we did in the staffing world, and just opened one office in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and then just continue to grow it. So just a pure staffing play, temp to perm, permanent staffing of administrative people.
Cool. And so take us through so you sold the company.
Yep. Founded in 2005, sold it in 2015.
So 10 years later. And
Yep.
What were the revenues, if you don't mind sharing with us, when it was?
About 90 million.
90 million.
When we sold in 2015. Yep.
So 0 to 90 million. Okay, cool. Slacker. So, and I've asked you this before. What do you think the key is to your success?
So we had a few keys. I'd say one key that we never talk about is my partner and I have complementary skills. I think when you team up with a partner, that can make things easier. You got half the load, but it can make things more difficult. It's like being in a marriage. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But he and I had complementary skills, so I would say that was a big key. I'd say number two, we had a vision and we wrote everything down. Even our first year, we had a 1, a 2, and a 5-year goal. So every year we reset our goals. And we communicated that with everybody in the company. You ask anybody, hey, what's your goal for this year? Oh, growth. Really? How much you want to grow? I don't know, 10, 20%. Those are both round numbers. But we had really specific goals, and our business plan for it. It's just a temp agency. You're placing administrative people at a company. We had a 62-page business plan before we started the company. Cash flow, projections, everything. So we really laid it out well. I'd say that was the second key. And then the third and final key, I think, was we based our entire company on one book. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners know Good to Great. And it's an older book, maybe 2000, 2002. So it's been around for 20 or so years. But we based everything on that book.
Wow.
And follow the principles. We still use it today.
Wow. Good to Great. So obviously, sales is an essential part of that, right? So a lot of people don't understand that. You know, you want to have that kind of growth. You have to build out the sales and grow your sales department, right? I mean, it just takes to get to 90 million. You need a bunch of salespeople, right? So talk to us about how you hired people, what it took to get from, because it was just you and Dave, right, starting out, to 90 million in sales. Like, take me through that arc of the sales team that you built. How did you do it? How'd you hire those people? How'd you decide? How'd you motivate them?
Yeah, anytime I go to a company and I see that they've got massive amounts of sales, great logos on their wall, the first question is, who's doing your business development? How'd you get these companies? Coca-Cola and McDonald's and all these great companies out there. I'm always fascinated how people got their companies, how they got their customers. Maybe just search engine optimization, word of mouth. For us and our business, it was door to door. And that's literal. Like, we were knocking on doors. We'd go to a building and we'd knock on every single door. So when we started out, it's kind of a level of trust to give a company like PeopleShare their business. That's a trust thing.
Yeah.
The first thing people would say, well, okay, well, how long have you guys been around? I never heard of you. Oh, we've been around for 3 weeks. Yeah, I don't have business cards yet. We don't have anything. So it was a monumental task. So I think it's a lot easier for our salespeople to sell now. We've got an 18-year history that they can fall back upon and persuade a customer. But it was just Dave and me. It was up and down the streets of King of Prussia and Philadelphia and Conshohocken and just literally knocking on doors, just trying to get names. And once you get those names, it's just calling, just smiling and dialing. Yeah. You know that phrase? You're an old man. Yeah. So you know that phrase? Just smiling and dialing all day long, 50, 60 phone calls, just trying to get in front of people. So the challenge is getting people, everybody wants to be in sales because it seems kind of cool, right? Yeah, I'm a sales guy, I manage these accounts. But most people don't want to do that kind of that pride-swallowing siege that you go through every single day, picking up the phone and probably getting rejected 90 to 95%. So our hit rates is, maybe 5% of the people that we're talking to will set an appointment with us.
Yeah. So now at some point you're rolling along on that arc, you're getting to 2, 3, 4, 5 million a year in sales. You've got cash flow. Was SEO, social media, is that the thing that really propelled you, or what other types of marketing really contributed, or was it just banging doors till you got to 90 million?
What's SEO?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. It just never worked for us. Just to give you a really basic example, when we go to a customer, if there is no customer out there in our market that Googles which staffing company to go after, they're barraged by staffing companies. You walk into an HR director who might be our contact. You look around, they've got all of our competitors' promotional items all over the place.
Yeah.
Swag, yeah. So it is literally just a relationship business to door to door kind of sales. So I would love to have just spent a lot of money on search engine optimization or that marketing or just
advertising
on the radio, but that's not how our business is. That's not driving the real revenue.
Yeah, I think most B2B is that way. Like you can't wait for them to. And also now,
we tried that. We just opened and just waited for somebody to call us, and no phone calls. I'm like, we got to get out there.
No, you just needed to spend more money on SEO. There's an SEO company here in Philly that's like, they had billboards. They had like 15 billboards that said, "Come use us, you need SEO." And they're using the oldest form of marketing to get your business.
That is the most ironic thing I've ever heard. So an SEO company
15
was advertising on a billboard.
Like, we're using billboards, but you need us to do your SEO. because it works so well.
I think I know the
15,
billboards you're talking about, right on 95. Yeah,
like
yeah.
out in Upper Dubby and all over the place. It's crazy.
Yep.
Don't do what we do, because that actually works. Just hire us to like boost up your SEO. It's so hilarious. Oh my God. So you're building out the sales team. So how many sales reps did you have when you sold the company? Like 10 years, within 10 years?
I'd say probably 15.
15.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they were all individual territories. They all work in one bullpen. No, they were all in their individual markets.
Right. And do I have this right? Did you have an office in Westchester and did you have a physical office in like a couple locations, or how did that work?
Yeah, and so we have locations like Wawa. You literally see a Wawa a mile down the road from one another, and you're thinking,
Right.
boy, why don't they just consolidate? Instead of having 500 stores, why don't they just have one mega store?
Yeah.
Doesn't work for Wawa. Doesn't work for our business either. So the reason we have so many locations is when people are getting an entry-level job, and we hire entry-level college graduates, entry-level high school graduates, people are not willing to drive an hour to go interview with us. So we literally have to be in people's backyards. So, from King of Prussia to Horsham,
Right.
I don't know, it's 15 miles up the turnpike.
Yeah.
Our candidates won't drive all the way to King of Prussia. We've got to go to them.
Right. So the candidates. So you wound up with, how many locations did you have or do you have in Philly? Metro area?
Yeah, in the Philly area, I'd say we have 6 or 7, 15 in Pennsylvania. So one of the things that we tell people is we're the largest staffing company in the world. And when people say, really? Isn't Manpower bigger than you guys? They're 30 billion.
Right.
Well, actually, we're larger than they are in our market. We have more Philly offices than any other private or publicly traded company.
Right.
But some of our competitors just have maybe 5 offices. They're in California, New York, Chicago, everything in between. But we're just really geographically concentrated. So yeah, I think we have 6 or 7 in Philly and suburbs.
Gotcha. And so with the sales reps, how do you manage your sales team? What's your process for getting them to perform?
Everybody thinks that sales is art, right? It's really creative. It's really not. It's a science. You put the same ingredients in. So the way we manage our salespeople, Larry, just activity. You got to get in front, and we have the formula. You need to get in front of 8 customers, 4 brand new customers or prospects, and 4 existing. So get in front of 8 people. And how do you do that? You've got to make 110 phone calls. You've got to make 40 drops of promotional items. You've got to do HIPPO videos. Since the pandemic, we pivoted and, we send out, instead of emails, we're sending out just links to our videos and customized videos. So doing that activity, that's how we manage them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just that simple. Like, how many new where are your 4 new candidates? Who are the 8 people? So you just have to look at that you actually had a conversation with or communicated with, or conversation, or how detailed does that get?
Yeah. Well, we consider an appointment when you're sitting down face to face and you can set an agenda. If you're saying hello to somebody in the lobby, that doesn't really count. Sure, that helps, and you're dropping something off. And you have 8 sit-down meetings with people where you can ask them about their staffing needs and ask them for an open possession. So it's not really a sales call unless you have the opportunity to ask them for the business.
Yep. And then how do you, because the key is the sales team, right? Without, people don't understand. If you don't have the sales team, the sales are not going to come. So it's
crazy how that works.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy.
Difficult concept, right?
So how do you hire salespeople? What's your process? How do you figure out who's going to be good, who's going to be bad? What's the failure rate?
So when we look at how we're getting our salespeople, we find a variety of sources. But up until maybe 5 years ago, we had one person in talent acquisition, one person doing all the hiring and the initial phone interviewing and setting people up. So like, hey, if we're going to grow, we need more salespeople. How do you get more salespeople? So we grew our internal talent acquisition team. Now we have 6 talent acquisition people in our company, and they're hitting every single person on LinkedIn. They're doing every type of outreach to salespeople. And what we found is...
Wait. You have 6 full-time recruiters for yourself.
Yep, you got it.
And how large a territory, how many positions are you trying to keep filled?
So
Total.
we have 40 branches. So roughly 5 or 6 branches per recruiter. So our recruiters are all over the place. So we've got a recruiter that sits right here in the Philly suburb. She manages the same 6 branches all the time. They're all in Chicago, and she's managing all of their open needs. So she's building a funnel of people.
Right.
So as soon as somebody that, we have an expansion or a resignation, boom, we've got a pool of people to put right in there.
So that's funny because we did that when I think I told you about technology marketing reports. I think that was one of the keys. We went from 0 to 5 million a year in sales in 18 months. And one of the keys, we had 15 inside sales reps, 15 outside sales reps from London to Los Angeles. And one of the key hires that I made was a full-time recruiter. Just always had inside and outside sales reps. So if we hired someone, they didn't work out, she had somebody in the pocket. And that I think was one of the keys to the success of that.
So you were willing to invest.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a revenue producer, but it was a direct link to getting revenue producers and hiring the internal talent to hire your salespeople.
Yeah, we needed 30 people, and we had 30, 15 inside and 15 outside sales reps that worked together. They would set all their appointments. So my outside sales reps didn't set any appointments. They were going on 4 appointments a day, every single day. Minimum deal was $20,000 prepaid every single day.
Phenomenal model.
60 appointments, face-to-face appointments every single day. They'd walk out and they would just call from wherever they were. Okay, Lucy, that was a great one. Follow up with her next week. Send her a proposal or send her this information. What's my next appointment? So they didn't even touch a CRM. They just literally communicated with the inside salesperson. And that, in total, we went from 0 to 300 employees in that period of time. It's crazy.
Phenomenal.
Crazy. But
but you had the money to invest in your business.
Yeah, because I'm a saver. I didn't buy the Ferrari. That was the one thing that I learned at Wharton. You think about, I didn't learn much, but because I'm dumb, because I'm stupid. But one of the things they said, the guy who invented, I think, you had kids. What's the handy wipes, or what do they call it for the baby wipes? Yeah. He's the guy that started, was the original guy. He came in to speak to us, and he's like, I had to design a hole to pull these things out. And he made millions, right? And so his advice to us, he's like, he's in this big auditorium. They would have these guys, we had the president of the SEC come in to talk to us, all these, because it get people for an ego thing to come in.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd said, you're all going to be successful at some point. He says, when you're first successful, don't buy the Ferrari, which was great advice. So yeah, I saved money.
So instead of saving that money, you didn't buy a Ferrari. You just kept on reinvesting in your business.
Yeah.
And you spent, $100,000 on a talent acquisition person internally.
Yep.
To just keep driving your business. That was the other thing. You'd asked me about the keys of business.
Yeah.
That was another big thing. We didn't draw hardly any kind of a salary for the first 6-7 years.
Oh,
we were reinvesting everything back into the business. So when people would ask us, hey, what was your revenue? When we went to sell the company, what's the number one thing that they were asking us? What's your EBITDA? What's your profit? We didn't know. We really didn't have an accurate picture on.
Oh, wow.
We knew we were driving value of the company. We knew we were driving revenue. But we really didn't have an accurate picture on what our profit was because we weren't taking much out.
Right.
Reinvesting everything back into the business.
So cash flow was never an issue.
Never an issue. So our talent acquisition people would come to us and they'd say, this guy's looking for X of a salary, higher than we'd ever paid anybody else. Yeah, no problem. We never said, oh, let me go back to the CFO, find out if we have the money.
That's the key. That's the thing that I see a lot of business owners trapped in, where they just don't have the money, even for a mild investment. They just we don't have the cash for that. And you're just like, oh God, What are you doing? What are you doing?
Underfunded.
Yeah.
Or
overspending.
or they've got the money and they have to hire the cheapest sales guy out there, which is never the best.
Yeah.
So underfunded, to oversimplify it.
Yeah. And that's the key, because but I didn't realize that you had that many full-time recruiters just to keep the sales team, but that makes sense. Because this is the greatest thing about this podcast. It reminds me of shit. Nobody told me to hire a full-time recruiter. Nobody. This was back in 1996. I was a young punk. I was like 40 something, early 40s. And I'm like, I need a full-time recruiter. And
you're just following your gut instinct. Like you didn't have any advisor.
No advisor.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we have all these, all these people that I want to staff, and I didn't.
Well, you learned something at Wharton. Maybe you just didn't even realize it, but no. Just good business instincts.
Oh, you know what I did? This sounds terrible. I don't know if this is bad or good. So first day, first class, first year I was at Villanova, and then I transferred to Wharton undergrad.
Yeah.
And the first question one of the professors asked was, what is the number one way to accumulate wealth? Now, that was a seismic change in mindset than at Villanova. Villanova was salary. This guy, this CEO makes this salary, this person, So to go from like salary-based mentality to creating wealth.
Yeah.
Kid raises his hand, points to the kid. The kid says, marry money. He said, exactly. That is the number one way to accumulate wealth. I should have said, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going west to find me a wealthy bride. But that was it. I should have walked out. I should have just, this working thing, man.
I didn't go that route. I didn't marry anybody. I don't know. Just the opposite.
Neither did I. But anyway. Those are the two things that I learned. Don't buy the Ferrari and marry money. Everything else I forget. But and you had an interesting way, like you said, like having a business partner, because I had to do this all on my own. Now I was lucky in that I was always able to find like a good right-hand man that would run it, like key second guy that complemented my talents. But I was always at the helm. So it was always whatever I said. Now, if you have a partner and a good partner, now you had an interesting way of how you resolved different points of view. Like you want to do this way, you want to do that way. Do you remember what you told me?
Oh yeah. I can't believe I remember that.
Oh, I think it's a significant thing. If you have a partner, if you're considering getting a partner, this is genius.
Yeah.
Tell them how you guys resolve. If like Dave wants to go this way, you want to go that way. How do you resolve of which direction you go?
Yeah. See, I didn't go to Wharton, but I learned this. I learned this one in 5th grade, Larry. So this is definitely more my speed. Like 1 to 10. Hey, I'm feeling like at this intersection, you got to go left or right.
Right.
I feel like I'm going. We should go right. And he'd say, "Nah, I think we should go left."
Right.
And I'd say, "Well, on a scale of 1 to 10."
Right.
He'd say, "Oh, I think we need to go left," and I'm like a 9.5.
Right.
Like I was thinking about going right, but I'm a 6, 7.
Genius.
All right, you win.
Easy.
And then the problem with I forget the stat, but
consensus sucks.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So
I hate consensus.
One of the things that I read somewhere is that educated adults make the right decision somewhere between 60 and 80% of the time.
Yep, I know where you're going with this.
They wait too long.
Yeah.
And they just don't make enough decisions. If you knew you could be right even 60% of the time, immediately you go right to Atlantic City and clean up.
Right.
But people wait and, they take too long to make decisions. So we'd say, all right, let's make a decision, never look back. And here was the other thing. I don't know if I told you this, but when we decided to go, his way or my way, it was usually his way, by the way, but never look back.
Yeah.
You can't go back and say, see, you blew it, man. We should have gone my way. Just make that decision, follow it through. And if you made the wrong decision, that's the other thing is when you make a decision and you realize it's the wrong thing, don't be afraid. Don't be too, don't have too much hubris to go back and say, all right, we made the wrong decision. Let's go back.
Right. Or try to cover it up. Try to make it out like it wasn't a bad decision.
Yeah,
like,
you,
and
you got it.
That's the thing about like most of the highly successful people that I've met. There's almost zero ego. They don't care. We'll try stuff, fail, great, no problems, move forward. But the people that hang on, employees or business owners that like can't be wrong, huge ego, it just you almost like within the first 15 minutes you can tell, like, is this person a badass or is this person going to kill it? Like I met this guy Garth, and he had that attitude.
He was a badass. Right?
Garth Moulton. Yeah.
I don't know him, but a name like Garth.
That's,
that guy doesn't screw around.
He grew up, his parent, he's kind of a hippie. He grew up in, what's the hippie state up where you live?
Well, I mean, they're all left
or something.
Yeah, probably more in Vermont than anything, but yeah. They're about the same. Sure.
I met this kid at a trade show, and he was starting this company called Jigsaw, which is give a lead, get a lead. And I met him, and I'm like, this guy is going to crush it. And I'm like, I'm going to come out to California. I want to meet you and your partner.
Your buddy founded Jigsaw?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That goes back. I mean, I'm gonna say mid-90s.
Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I go out, and they're just starting out. They're VC funded. And, you know, he had to take a huge pay cut because he was a killer sales guy. And he's got a wife and a couple kids.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, she wants them to be successful because they're like going from here to here. And he confided in me. He goes, "Oh man, I hope this works out." After hanging out with him for a day, and I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna crush it. You got, just had all the right things." So they wound up doing better and better. So the first year, it's give a lead, get a lead. So I think they had 1 million email because nobody had email addresses. So the first year they had 1 million. And then the second year they had 2 million. Then the next year they had 4, 8, 16, and nobody had email addresses. And so he was in Philly. He's like, "Oh, let's meet up." So we met at Park or Devon or something. And normally he's like, great personality, comes in, he's all dejected. I'm like, "Dude, what's the matter with you?" He goes, "We were in negotiations with a huge data company, huge. And they were going to buy him for like $90 million or something. And the deal fell through." And I said,
"This is when he was selling Jigsaw?"
"Yeah."
Yeah, okay.
So
what year was this, Larry?
I don't know.
Had to be late 90s. But anyway.
Late 90s, 2000s, maybe something like that. And
so deal falls apart.
I figured out exactly what it was. It was like 100-some-year-old company, and none of those execs are ever going to see that kind of cash, and they didn't want to see a couple of young punks cash out. And I was like, that's what happened. Screw them. This is going to be the greatest day of your life. Mark my words. 6 months or 8 months later, Salesforce buys them for $1.75.
Wow.
Yeah. I just knew all along. He just he just had that attitude, no ego, but out there hustling, and just had this personality, and just had the right technology. And there were other companies, similar, trying to do the same thing, but they didn't have Garth.
Wow, that's incredible. But I've always said this. It just kind of reminds me. We're talking about ego. We're talking about humility and hubris. The number one thing in business, and everybody says immediately, it's money. It's not.
No,
it's ego. Ego drives this. They didn't get acquired by this company of bunch of old guys because they didn't want to. They didn't want to have this young whippersnapper, and it was ego.
It would have changed they would have had the reputation, this and that, and they would have had this machine that was just like, on its own, just hit the Fibonacci sequence. It was crazy.
But Salesforce, they're killing it. They're the pinnacle. They're the marquee company out there.
Yeah, and if you're this company, the last company you want to buy, this company, when you have this
you should have done it preemptively.
Sales machine.
Totally. Yeah.
It would have been worth it just so they didn't get it in their hands to help them with their stuff. It was a dumb move. But
wow.
But sometimes you just know, like he's like, years later, he's like, "Why did you fly out?" I'm like, "I just knew you guys were going to kill it. I just wanted to see what you guys were up to." And you just could see it. It was fun. It was fun watching it. He's a good guy, really good guy. So, what advice do you have for companies that, want to grow their business and want to get to the next level? What we talked about, some of the things that sort of lock them up from getting to the next level. What are some of the other things that can either help you if you have the right attitude or hinder you from getting to that next level?
So one of the things is, you can hire salespeople and continue to hire them, but you got to make it easy for them. You got to make it easy for your customers. You got to make it easy for your customers to sell. So we don't run away from a problem at PeopleShare. We run toward it. We're really upfront, and we tell everybody at our company, you're all important, but you're not all equal. And our salespeople are the ones that drive our revenue. Doing $175 million in revenue, and it's all because of the salespeople. So we adulate these salespeople, we clear the obstacles for them, and we give them a process to follow. So you got to be really process-driven. So we've given them a very specific, if you can count from 1 to 14, you can do our sales process. It's every week, 1 through 14, and the same thing, 1 through 14. So we have 30 targets. We go after 15 this week, 15 the next week, and just keep on repeating that cycle until you get to the end of the 1 through 14 process.
Wow. Yeah, just make it simple. You've told me that before. Make it easy for your customers.
When are you going to listen to me, Larry? Make it simple. You scale multiple businesses, so you can't disagree with that.
Yeah, no.
You know how many websites do you go to on a weekly basis, and you can't understand what the company does?
I can't understand. I can't find a freaking phone number.
Yeah,
it's hard to communicate with them. They don't get back to you. I've told you this. And it blows my mind. Like I think I told you, I've done this survey 5 times, and anywhere from 100 to 500 companies where we have 100 telemarketers. So we just get them, it's just a couple of people. So I was given a speech at this convention. There were like 100, and these are in their industry, top shelf companies, the top companies. So we reached out and we're like, hey, it's Jimmy from, XYZ law firm in their market, 100 employees, need your service. Please call me. Here's my phone number. And so that goes to a cell phone. And my receptionist takes the call and logs in who called when. So take a guess. I don't know. Did I tell you this before?
Mm-mm.
All right.
So somebody
take a guess. So we're approaching as if we're the right person, the key decision maker for that industry. And I've done it for the technology industry where I'm the CIO of this company. I've got $1 million budget for, it doesn't matter how strong that is. Guess how many out of the 100 called once? Take a wild guess.
So in your instance, you might have been a pretend CIO calling an IT company saying, hey, I need services. I need IT services. And how many times he had to call to get a call back?
No. How many people called? So we just set the trap and then just waited for them to call. Here's the cell phone, recorded every single person that called in.
An absurdly low amount, 20%.
50%.
50%?
50%.
Okay.
50%.
It's actually higher than I thought. But
yeah. So we recorded all of those. Now, when they got the call, now you're a sales guy and you'll have people that reach out to your website. You'll call and the receptionist is like, who is this? What's this in reference to? Does he know that you're calling? Who are you? I need DNA. Right? Right. Even if they reached out to you, you hit the receptionist. They're like, wait. Before I get you to Jeff, the producer, you've got to go through me. No, with this, it was like, oh my God, Ryan, I can't believe it. You just missed him. Listen, you didn't hear this from me. Call back tomorrow at 3:00. I'll get you right through. It never happens, right? Maybe every now and then, right? Rarely. Guess how many called back? They got the warm and fuzzy. Out of the 50, guess how many called back?
I'm going to say, well, the percentage is obviously going down. I'm going to say 30%.
25.
25%.
25. Yeah. So 25%. Guess how many made the third call?
Ooh, well, 10%.
12 and a half.
Yeah.
And then by the fourth, they all gave up. Ryan, this has happened over the last 15 years. I've done this 5 times. One time I did it with 500 companies and told IT companies and told them I had $1 million budget. Same exact sequence. Half, 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 half.
Yeah. So it got halved every time.
Every time. Listen, I was talking to your COO.
Yep.
And she said the same thing. She's managing this huge company.
Yep.
And she can't get people to call her back when she's like, I got big checks to write for stuff and nobody's calling them back. It's crazy.
Yet our process is we're calling somebody 14 times just to get an appointment. And then oftentimes we don't get through on those 14 times.
Yeah.
Our sales reps ask their manager, hey, I really believe in our service and I really believe we're a service to that company. Can I put them through the 1 through 14 again? So a lot of times we're hitting companies 28 times.
Yeah. And
eventually you got to punt.
Yeah.
But a minimum, if you're putting somebody in our sales process, you're touching them, hitting them, voicemail, calling, leaving a message, or showing up in their office 14 times before you punt.
So here's the statistic now. It takes 8 to 10 attempts to get somebody back on the phone that reached out to you. Somebody raised their hand. I'm interested in blue widgets.
Yep.
And most sales reps will make half a call.
No, right.
No, literally half a call. Now, do you think with that, the amount of business that's in their dead lead dumpster? Now, if you have a sales meeting, here's my question. You have a sales meeting and you gave, 3 leads to Jimmy and Johnny. Based on this, not your process, how many of them do you think, didn't call any of them? And what do you think they're going to say to their sales manager?
Oh, no question. Yeah, the leads weren't good.
I called, they're not interested.
Yep.
And we've set appointments for companies and they're like, oh, I called, Missy and she said she wasn't interested. We call Missy back because we have a relationship with her from setting the appointment. She's like, no one ever called. It's astounding.
Well, one of the things I think that we're trying to condition our salespeople to do is call it a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave them some statistics of the Fortune 1,000 largest companies. The CEO, 92% of the time. Yeah, everybody came from one of the ranks, either sales, ops, or finance.
Yep.
92% of the time. Your top guys coming from the sales.
You told me this before. Wow. Yeah.
And then the remaining 8%, 8% are probably coming from ops and maybe 0 to 1% from finance. So calling that higher level and calling that CEO because he's probably a sales guy. So just tell you, we would hire interns for all of our offices. So you got a 19-year-old that would come in and answer the phones for us. They'd come back to my office or buzz me through the office and they'd say, hi, Mr. Clark. You can call me Ryan, Sarah. Yeah, what is it, Sarah? Yeah, I have somebody on line 4. It sounds like a sales call. Did you want me to take a message? I'm like, no. Keep that guy on the phone. I want to talk to him. I run back to my office. Hello, this is Ryan. Can I help you? I want to see how people, I'm trying to hone my craft. I want to hear how other people are selling.
Right.
And I would love it. So I would either A, maybe be interested in that guy's service and maybe buy it.
Yeah.
B, find out he's pretty good and I could refer him somewhere. Yeah. Or C, most likely he'd be terrible.
Right.
Wouldn't know what we did. Didn't have any pre-call planning. And I'd take the opportunity to coach him. Hey, Chad, what's your name again? Chad? Yeah, Chad. You open us some advice. You open us some feedback. How about this? I know this is kind of novel of an idea, but when you call me or you call a company, kind of find out what, what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know that we're a staffing service, Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah. You thought we might be a pizza shop. You weren't sure. So I take the opportunity to coach. I know it's a little bit the Irish in me, but anyway.
I try to tell my customers. So we sell sales leads. We do the lead nurturing and find these trigger events where people have opened an email. And I said, look, it took us thousands of calls to get, just a handful of leads, right? Take the time, go to their website. Before you make the call, you'll find something. Oh, look, PeopleShare just opened up 3 new offices. Wow, they're in the staffing business. So come to them with a gift. It's the easiest thing to do. Also, 92% of the time you're going to get a voicemail. Stand out. Just take the time. It's hard enough to get people to just call leads that are qualified. And all you have to do is say, hey, Mr. Clark, it's Larry from XYZ, whatever it is, IT services. Hey, I just checked out your website. I see you opened up a location in Malvern and Westchester. Congratulations on your growth. I see that you're in staffing. My name is Larry. I don't know if you're ready to divorce your MSP, but if you are, I'd love the opportunity. That would stand out, and
that would make me cry. Tears of joy. Like if somebody actually did that much research, which is what, 75 seconds on my on our website,
on the website. Right. Yet trying to get reps to do that, no, they're just going to call and go, I sell IT services. Can I come see you? No, it's a bad lead. What?
Well, my pet peeve was,
but isn't that easy? But listen, you're a buyer as well, right? You buy shit to grow your business, right? You have control over
software,
Dave,
cars,
everything,
office
real
supplies.
estate.
Yeah, you got it.
Hundreds of millions of dollars, right? That you guys have spent. Hundreds of millions, right? In that period of time. Come to the table with something. It's the easiest thing to do. And instead of, you don't have to be a bullet. If you do that, it's just as a buyer, by the way, as a buyer, I would literally fall over if I got a voicemail like that. Just take a fucking few seconds. Oh, I saw your thing on CNBC. Or
Can I tell you my pet peeve, Larry?
Go ahead.
So guy would call me it's a Monday morning, 10 a.m. Guy will call me. And of course, if it's a sales call, I'm going to pass it through. I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, this is, Chad Smith from XYZ company. How was your weekend? Oh, well, Chad, my weekend was wonderful. I'm not sure that that's what the purpose of the call was, but I feel obligated to say, how was your weekend, Chad? It's just nobody cares how your weekend was. I don't even know you. You don't know me. But, if you're calling a decision maker, you're going to want to hit them with the fastball.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's so-and-so. I represent this company. Reason I want to get in contact with you and just have a one shot. Hey, we're servicing the customer that's right in the suite next to you. Or we do other staffing services. Or we're new in town. We just wanted to meet and, could I have a cup of coffee and talk to you about how we could save you money? Anything like that. But, hi, how was your weekend? Who are you again?
Yeah.
So anyway,
but and just take the time to check out their website and see what's going on, because also as a salesperson, if I was doing some, I talked to you, we have the high growth data. So I was messing around on that and I was like, okay, let me look for companies we've got multiple indications, right, that I'm not familiar with. Because we'll see, Bank of America, million indicator, that
sure,
other companies. And I saw this one. It was I think it was Blue Horizon Veterinarian Services. I'm like, wait, they have like 10 indicators, which is a huge number, right? And so I go to their website, and then I learn
10 indicators that they're a high growth company.
High growth company, which is it's an exponential
number of employees.
Yeah.
Real estate.
One is good. One indicator is good. 2 is phenomenal. I think I told you we did the reverse. We picked you up in 2008 and then 2009 and then 2011 before way before you hit it really big. And you answered the phone and you told them you were a manager. That was in 2008. What's your position? You're like, oh, I'm a manager.
You know, sometimes
But
it
we
feels
had
good to
those
be a
indicators,
buyer
right.
after
Yeah,
selling all
exactly,
the time. I like to be a buyer.
Exactly. So anyway, listen, here's a bit of advice I think that that all of us could use, especially in B2B. So I just did a little research and I found out, oh, this is like a VC roll up. They go into town, they buy up like 10 vets in the area, and then they build this, like, you know, vets are normally in like an old house.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
smelly.
Yeah.
They build a huge, beautiful facility, and then they get a bunch of vets in there. They buy out their practice, and then they
Have one mega
place that just looks sweet. And they're like, this one. And then you go in and you're like, oh shit, this was like, I think there were 6 or 7, but they were like, they're going to expand nationwide. They're probably, I don't know if it was venture or private equity funded. Like, I don't care what you're selling, staffing, phone service, like, you're not going to just make, that's a forever, right? That's on your agenda every month. I'm trying to get into this. If you're selling IT services, if you're trying to sell, because they'll buy the same phone system for the whole thing. What about just logistics? What about like all the stuff that's encompassed in that, you know, selling them cabinet, you know, because vets have specific cabinetry that they use, you know, the tables and all of that.
Sure.
Like,
That's a good lead for 10 different companies.
But if it's your company and it looks like, oh shoot, this guy, you know, you service a bunch of areas now, like, oh wow, these guys are our entire footprint. So it's not just one potential customer, it's 10 potential customers. I'm going to dial it up to a 10 in terms of effort, frequency. You don't even have to talk to the customer. Figure it out. So I was talking about, like you were saying, like, be prepared before you make the call, but also every now and then, for every 100 companies that you do this research on, there's going to be 1 or 2 that are killing it, right? The 1% are going to be killing it. And that's going to be evident on the website. And those are the ones, like I said, you double, triple your effort, you do direct mail, you just like, you cover that one. And you find these gems, and they'll tell you on their website. It's the easiest thing to do, but it's like impossible to get reps to do it. Like, just take the time, just take your time. And then that way, when you do leave that voicemail message, like you said, and there's proof positive. You get somebody like yourself or me or anybody like this person's done the homework to figure out what's going on with my company. So that's
Like, I learned something in a sales seminar 20 years ago, but still kept it with me. They were talking about procurement people and how the training of procurement people. I thought to myself, how is this relevant to what I do? But procurement people are trained to never buy anything the first 3 times. They're going to wait for you to follow up a minimum of 5 times, because if you don't call 5 times, you don't really believe in your product.
right.
But, you know, anybody will call one person, he didn't pick up, I'm never going to call again. Well, that's not the vendor that you wanted. But the vendor that will call you 6+ times, it really wants your business, probably they're going to be the one that services you as well. So that's a little bit of the training for procurement people.
Yeah, and that you know, it's interesting that you said that, because what we're doing now, we're interviewing for salespeople, and I talked to David Parrott, and he's like, I give him a task. I said, go to my website and put together a presentation or how you would sell our service, and then the ones that don't respond, you don't want. And then how they respond, it's the easiest thing, because you don't have to do anything. You just wait for them to send you the information. But it's interesting that you say that, because I've gotten to the point where I realize that most sales reps are terrible at breaking the ice for a lead. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it could be a networking lead. It could be they're terrible at it. So I've come up with this simple process, kind of like following up on a lead for dummies, right? Because you don't want to get the false negative, which is easy to do, right? You filled out a form, or somehow I get your lead. Hi, Ryan. I sell IT services. Oh, I
Right.
want to come out for an appointment. And you're like, you're busy. You got other stuff going on. You're just going to say, no, not interested. So I've been kind of retraining my customers to be like, look, unless you're, and I've met thousands of sales reps in what we do. And I've only met 10 inside reps that can convert leads. There's only 10. They work on their own. They don't need to be managed. Freaking aces. They can develop a rapport with somebody instantly. But what I realized is 99.9% of reps are terrible at it. They're just terrible. So I've been telling, and I don't know what you think about this. I've told them, because 92% of the time you're going to get the voicemail. And if you went to their website, you're prepared, right? I've got that, hey, Ryan, I see you open a location in Malvern and in Westchester. Congratulations, man. I see you're in the staffing business. How are you doing it, right? That's the gift I'm going to give, right? You go to a party, you don't walk in. Like most sales reps, the equivalent is they walk in and like, hey, where's the booze, right? Versus, hey, Ryan, thanks for inviting me. Here's a bottle of wine.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So you bring that bottle of wine. And I've been telling them, and I'm interested to hear what you think. If you're not an ace, and they know they're terrible at it, we've been in sales meetings where they've spent like with technology marketing reports, they're spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on leads. And we're going to do the training. And these are all like big boys and girls. All right, here's the lead. Like, all right, Ryan, here's the lead. This company told us they're interested in you sell ERP solutions. Marcy's interested in an ERP solution. She's looking at JD Edwards and, people, all the detail. That's definitely a good prospect. Give it to them. And they're like, well, what do I do? What do I say? Like literally like 90% of the time. They're like, well, what do I say? It's crazy. So I've told them, go to the website, find something. If they answer the phone, lead with that. And just tell them, I just wanted to introduce myself. I do staffing. If you have that nice intro and they're interested, they're going to be like, I can't believe you called. Like instead of like trying to get a yes, no out of them. And if the voicemail, which if you suck, is your dream come true for you because you can deliver the perfect voicemail. Hey, Ryan, this is Larry from Larry's IT Services. Don't know if you're ready to divorce your attorney, but I was checking out your website and I saw you're opening a location in Malvern and Westchester. Congratulations on your growth. And then just keep following up. Hey, by the way, I sent you an email. I'll follow up next week to make sure you got that. It's got a list of my services. And then next week, it gives you an excuse to call back. Now I've got two touches within a week, a voicemail and an email, 4 touches in a week's period of time. And then whatever the cadence is for whatever it is that you're selling, call them a month later or 2 months later.
Sure.
Just keep telling them, just wanted to introduce myself. This is what I do. Just want to remind you, this is what I do. Because if they're interested, they'll call you back or they'll at least remember you. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, my thoughts on the voicemail is it's an obligatory thing. Very few are going to be followed up on. We tell our people to leave all of their contact information at the end of the voicemail. Mm-hmm. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just
Larry.
real short. Yep.
Hey, Larry. Reason I was getting in touch with you was.
Yep. But I think it's a good opportunity to drop something about their website. Just a quick mention about what they do, or if there's something interesting, like, and every time I go, like I was doing a instructional video for my clients on what to do, why it's important to go to the website. So I went to this, it was a Tampa lead. I hadn't looked at the lead ahead of time. I'm like, I'm just going to pull up a Tampa lead. We're recording the screen, and this was a training video for my clients. And I'm like, oh, here's a lead that we generated for Tampa. They're moving. And I'm like, oh, wait, they have 1,000 employees. They're in 50 locations in the United States. Oh, my gosh. 3 of their attorneys won Florida Attorney of the Year award. This one won this other award. And I'm like, oh, shoot. It's not just like, if you're selling IT services or voice over IP, now it's gone from, being worth 20 grand to 200,000 or more just by taking that time and then And I said, like, making the call, it's a lay down. Hey, congrats. I saw on your website, you had 4 people that won awards from the State Bar Association. You've got that. Wow, that's congratulations. And even if you're talking to the receptionist, come on, if there's a possibility that she gives you a solid and moves you forward, that's going to loosen, you know what I mean? Grease the wheels to get that going. But I'm just trying to figure out how to make it easy for people that suck at, and they'll tell you they suck. I'm good at the appointment, Larry. I just can't get the appointment. Like, it's kind of the important part of it. So I don't know.
Well, one of the things that we find is that when you call somebody and you actually get them on the phone in our industry, you set an appointment about 10 to 20% of the time. But if you can overcome one objection, it goes up to about 30%. Overcome 2 objections, 50%. 3, you'll get 80% of the appointments.
Wow.
But it's as much as, again, this is more of a science than an art form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Typical objection that we're hearing is, yeah, thanks for your call. We're happy with our current provider. The objection you're going to get every time.
Right.
That's always the same. And salespeople usually don't have a script of how to overcome that.
Yeah.
We both know Lisa Peskin and feel, felt, found.
Yeah.
I understand how you feel.
Yeah.
A lot of our current customers felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
But what they found is how PeopleShare uses a video interview on every candidate.
Yeah.
It saved them a ton of time.
Very cool.
And when you overcome that objection, then you wait for them to respond. You got to set a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of our current customers felt the exact same way. What they found is that, using our technology saved them a ton of time. How's your schedule? July 18th at 2:15.
Yeah.
But, it takes, as Alec Baldwin said, takes brass balls to sell in this. And, you got to have the guts. And, I think what a lot of people think on sales is, the number one thing that people hear when they got out of college or getting into sales is people buy from who they like. And I agree with that. But people take that to the nth degree and don't want to push their customers. So we have a test. And one of the things that people really struggle with is that they have a need for approval. They need their customers to approve of them, and they need their customers to like them. And it goes so far that they're afraid to hold their customer accountable and afraid to push them. Yeah. They're afraid to hold their price. If I hold my price, my customer's not going to like me and they're not going to buy from me anymore.
Yeah.
It's the old, the ancient question. Do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected? A lot of our salespeople struggle because they really want to be liked.
Yeah. My cousin's like elite Olympic level sales, got crushed in copier sales and then went on. He actually worked for us during that growth phase, like when we expanded, and then went on to be VP of sales for big companies. And now he's the chief revenue officer for a private equity firm. And he's got, I think, 8 to 10 companies that they've acquired, and he goes in and fixes them all up. And he said the reason for my success, I just don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. He'll ask the questions. Why not?
You got it.
Well, why not? Well, he'll go back, and I've seen him on calls. At the time, I think I had my Bertram, and it's it was like 500 gallons in fuel, and we'd go out for the day and burn hundreds of gallons, right? And he's out pitching this customer, and the customer was like, he's like scoffed at the price, some a chunky price. And he goes, well, what about this, this amount of money? He said, quite honestly, sir, that wouldn't put fuel in my CEO's gas tank of his boat. So,
that's about as ballsy a thing I've ever heard.
yeah.
But
that wouldn't even put fuel in my CEO's yacht.
You just described this wicked successful sales guy who's scaled and gone on to great heights. And you said the one thing that's made him successful, and everybody's on the edge of their chair. Like, what's the key to this? This guy just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's just, hey,
you
know, I'm not afraid who I'm offending, but I'm going to get a reaction out of this guy one way or the other.
Yeah.
And if anything, I'm not sure where that's, that conversation went from there, but sure as hell that this guy at least respected him and said, the guy didn't break in his price. I always tell our salespeople, when you give a big price discount, only two things happen. One, you lower your profit.
Yeah.
Number two, you lowered your perceived value.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I couldn't give this to you any cheaper than what I'm giving it to you.
Yep.
And if you don't want it, there's somebody else that does. That takes guts to say that.
Yeah.
And you're going to piss a few people off.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to be friendly and nice to everybody, being a sales is kind of like being a coach of a team. Trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
You go nowhere.
Yeah. We might have to cut this one out, Jeff. There's the president of this bank that I did our business with. Every now and then he would take me out to play golf. And
your bank.
Your
banker.
Yeah, the president of the bank.
Okay.
So every time we would go out, he goes, Larry, we should really be buying your leads. It'd be good for the bank, because companies that are growing need, banks and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then he would ask me the same 10 questions, right? Every time we go out, nothing would happen. And I didn't care, so about the fifth time we're out, he's paying for golf at a beautiful private country club. He's buying, it's after the round. He's buying us lunch. I'm there with one of my guys that works with me. And he starts in again. He goes, Larry, we should be buying the leads. And he starts asking me the same 10 questions. I said, Bob, I'm going to stop you right there. We've been down this road 5 times. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. And you got to take, and I threw out a chunk of money. And I said, you got to take your right hand and put it down between your legs. And if you feel something, write me a check. I got the check.
You got to call people out.
The guy that was there from my company was like, holy shit, Larry.
What?
I'm going to stop you right there. It's either going to work or it's marketing, Bob. It's either going to work or work. Just write me a check for this amount.
Well, when
they bought the leads and then they didn't work them.
Gotcha. It sounds about right. Well, we all know that proverbial line that you shouldn't cross. You want to push your customer, but you want to get as close to that line as you can without going overboard.
Yeah.
But if you're getting that close all the time, occasionally you're going to step over.
Oh,
so if you're not pissing somebody off with somewhat regularity, you're just not pushing hard enough.
I don't know if
you've got to have the guts to piss somebody off. You know.
Well, and I don't know. This probably comes up in your business too, where they're asking you a million detailed questions. It's just going down this freaking rabbit hole of like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? And at some point you're just like, I've said to customers, I'm like, Ryan, you're overanalyzing this. Stop. And sometimes that stops them in their tracks, and then they're like, yeah, you're right. Let's go ahead.
I remember.
Has that happened with you? Or I don't know what your business is like, but with our business, with marketing, sometimes they ask a lot of questions. Usually people just get it and they're like, yeah, it's for me or it's not for me.
So there was a seminal moment in one of our early customers. We founded the company in 2005. So this is probably 6 months into business. And we were dealing with, it was a church, a huge national church. I don't know what their endowment was, but it was huge. And finally got to a point where I said to the head of HR, it was just such a long process. They couldn't schedule interview times. And I finally said to this person, Johnson, I've got to ask you, why is it so difficult to get somebody hired at your company? That was probably not the most popular question that I asked of the day.
Right.
But that changed the relationship and held them accountable. And next thing you know, we had interviews and, we had a start. So just being able to say that, and as opposed to, again, salespeople think, put your customer up on a pedestal and do everything, and the customer's always right.
Yeah.
Well, that's taken too far,
Yeah.
too often.
Yeah. And sometimes don't
overanalyze it.
Yeah.
Are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And sometimes I would post a reward for somebody that can get on the phone and talk to a customer that's ready to close, but they haven't been able to close them, and just call them up and just say, come on, Ryan, we're a yes away from a great weekend. And you'll be surprised how many people that just triggers it. It's crazy. Crazy. Sometimes I would give a bounty for the first person to say, hey, listen, I just wanted to call you. I just got great news from my CEO. There's no limit on how many deals I can close today, so I want to get your deal in. Crazy shit.
Isn't it? We talked about a little bit of irony on this, on this conversation. Isn't it ironic that one of the most powerful weapons that you can use in sales is one that's used so infrequently, and that's humor.
Yeah.
Sometimes my humor doesn't hit all the time, and I just remember talking to one person and saying, hey, love to do business with you, and he said, currently we're with, I forget the company, XYZ staffing company. I said, that's okay. We all make mistakes, and that went over like a lead balloon.
Like a lead balloon, yeah.
But at least it got some sort of a reaction.
Yeah.
And other people would chuckle, and if you got them laughing, you got them.
Yeah.
And then sell them past the close. Hey, you got them laughing. Hey, can I come out and see you next Tuesday at 2:15?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. That does make a difference, because they do get wound up. They do get.
It's so scripted and it's so sterile.
Yeah.
If you can get them laughing, and it's tough to be able to use that humor. And I often used it incorrectly or inappropriately.
Yeah. And sometimes sales reps get too much in their head. They get too tight, trying to close.
Squeezing the bat too,
Yeah.
When you can't score on hockey, you're squeezing the stick too tightly.
Oh, is that right? Same with golf.
Oh, yeah.
Golf, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, when you just get up there and the proverbial grip and rip it.
Yep.
Sometimes, anytime I hit a bad shot, I'll pull a range ball out of my bag and pop it right on the green, because I'm not thinking. I'm just relaxed.
So I want to ask you this question. I asked you this once, and I thought the answer was great. And I think I've told you, I've used it in so many speeches. And you literally can look out in the crowd and see the faces go through this like this epiphany. I asked you, one time I asked you, what's the biggest mistake that you've made in business? And I don't know if you remember what you told me. Do you remember what you told me?
Boy, I hate to disappoint and give you and give you an inconsistent answer, but I can tell you, after 18 years of running this company, there's not even a close second. It's hanging on to people too long.
That's exactly what you said.
All right,
to me.
good. I'm
Yeah,
consistent.
That's exactly what you said to me. Holding on to Johnny too long because Johnny's a nice guy or Sally's a nice gal.
Yeah, and anytime you've seen red flags and you choose to ignore them, it'll come back to haunt you.
And you're not doing them any favors.
So if you want to change, you bring up a great point. You're not doing them. So if you want to change somebody's behavior, you got to change their mindset. So if you think to yourself, oh boy, should we fire Johnny? Should we not fire him? Well, you got to change your mindset and say, man, I'm going to promote this guy to another company, and all of a sudden it's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, come on in here.
Exactly.
You got 38 seconds.
Yeah.
But that Moneyball, that scene in Moneyball, I'm sure most of us have seen that, but don't over-explain it. Hey.
Yeah.
Getting traded.
Yeah.
Here's your,
Yeah.
Bob will take care of all your travel reservations.
Yeah.
You're going to Cincinnati. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out.
And I've given you credit for it, because I immediately after you said that, I think I gave a speech, and I remember I told him I had asked you this question. Your instant response was, hold on to Johnny, the sales rep, for too long because he's a nice guy. And I'm looking at 100 faces, and literally you can see them all go, I'll do it right to the camera there. I'll go, oh. And they all have this epiphany like, oh shit, that's that's such a great piece of advice. Because if you have a team of really good sales reps and you manage them and you've outlined, like, you don't spend hours and hours managing them. You know exactly what
you
you
look
want,
at a dashboard, see the activity, see the results, and know in 30 seconds.
No, yeah, exactly. And but man, every time I've given a speech and delivered that little lesson, like literally it takes a second for it to sink in, and then they're all like, oh wow, he's right.
Even to oversimplify that even more, best piece of advice I got in business was, if you think you have a problem, you do.
Mm-hmm.
So why second guess yourself?
Yep.
You know, and if you need to go down that second layer, if you think you got a problem, you do. But just go back and say, hey, would I rehire that guy? If it's not a resounding yes, you get rid of him. And here's the other reason, not just good for your business, but all the people that are working around that person.
Yeah.
You're saddling all those people with,
and they know it,
a C player.
Yeah. And they know it. They know it.
Yeah. As a CEO, you're the last to know it or the last to see it. You know, the emperor has no clothes. Why isn't Larry seeing that? You know, it's about time. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they hide stuff from you. But they'll be like, oh, thank God you got rid of that guy. That guy. We're like, wait. You've known this for how many months? You didn't come to me? Well, I don't want to be a tattletale. It's not your job, but. So this has been great. Any other words of wisdom that you have for folks that really, really want to, like, just sort of kick, give their sales, give their growth a kick in the butt? Any other parting words?
Yeah, there's been some books that have been really influential, and of all the books that I read, you got novels, you got fiction, nonfiction, you got. I don't read a whole lot of autobiographies, but there was one that stood out to me that was an autobiography, and I was telling somebody about this, and it was a younger person. I said, well, you know who Andre Agassi is? And he said, yeah, I kind of know who he is, but I don't follow golf much. Well, he's a tennis player. But anyway, one of the things that Andre Agassi did, he was a top-ranked tennis player that fell out of the top 100. He wasn't even ranked. Went from number one to being out of the top 100. He, got caught up. He was addicted to, some sort of drug. Went through a bad divorce from Brooke Shields. He worked his way back up to be number one in the world, and he credits it to one thing. Every single morning when he got up, he rewrote his goals, and they were ultra specific.
Oh, wow.
So every single morning, he would wake up at 5 o'clock for his morning workout. He'd get up at 4:45 and rewrite his goals. And they were so specific. I will beat Peter Sampras at Wimbledon, June 18th of whatever year this was, 6-3, 6-2, 6-5. He wrote down how he was going to beat him and by what score. So that visualization and that manifestation. So when I was doing the sales day-to-day for PeopleShare, Dave and I would challenge each other. I'm going to set 5 appointments today.
Right.
But when you envision it,
you
write it down and you tell somebody else, and then they hold you accountable at the end of the day. Miraculously, you end up achieving that goal.
Right. Yeah.
Writing your goals down, whether it's a business plan, whether it's your 1, 3, 5 year, or just your daily goal, what you're going to accomplish that day. I'm going to set 5 appointments. And that was the competitive drive. I didn't want to set 5 appointments. I just wanted to beat Dave. I just want to beat my partner.
Yeah.
This is all about bragging rights. It's all about recognition. Sales isn't usually about the money. It's about the recognition and the competitiveness. The money comes along with it.
Yeah.
But that would be my one piece of advice for somebody just getting into sales or an old dog, like we are in sales.
Yeah.
Write those goals down.
And that's it.
Commit to
just, if you did, last year you went out on 100 appointments and you sold 5 million. If this year you do 200, chances are you're going to close $10 million worth of business.
And I learned something from you. Stop caring, right? The old Office Space boss. All of a sudden he starts getting promoted. He stops caring. Hey, that's not going to put fuel in my CEO's boat. That guy's got more guts than anybody saying that. That's the most outrageous thing.
Around. Oh my God. He would fly all over the world and go out with all the sales calls with my reps, and there would always be a story. It's because he just didn't care.
No need for approval with that guy.
Nope.
That's great.
No, you got to meet him sometimes. He's hilarious. So, well, listen, this has been great. Thank you so much. How do people connect with your company, or how do they reach you, or what do you want people to know about reaching out to you or your company?
If you have a need to hire somebody in a warehouse or clerical support role, the best way to hire that person is try them out on a temp-to-hire basis. So peopleshareworks.com, and if you do call in, we do promise we'll actually call you back. We're an anomaly. We're an aberration. So thanks for having me, Larry. It's been great.
Thank you. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.